It's a really great series. I will not be picking up where he left off. This will be one of those standalone sermons again. I am a grade A nerd. How many Jeopardy fans we have in the house? Okay. Well, something that the nerdy pastors have, it's a little calendar that follows through like the whole Bible in 3 years. And this week on our little nerdy calendar, we have the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16. So we're going to be in Luke chapter 16 today, and we're going to hear a parable. To help us read it, I have a friend. He's going to come up. It's John Burton. John, this is the cue. Okay, come on up. And he's going to be reading the parable of the rich man and of Lazarus. So it's going to be Luke chapter 16, verses 19 all the way to 31. Okay, I'm just going to start here. Read it down. Okay.
There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angel carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried in Hades, where he was in torment. He looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." But Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us." He answered, "Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment." Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." "No, Father Abraham," he said, "but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." He said to him, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead."
Perfect there. Thank you. This is the word of the Lord. Thank you, John. Okay, great. As he's making his way down to the seat, we just want to say thank you for reading this parable for us this morning. It's the one I always say this passage has been prayed over by like half of the church around the world. It's a tough little passage. It's a tough parable. It talks about things that are going to be hard to hear sometimes, but I think necessary if I'm doing my job. This morning, I'm going to talk to you all about a 4-letter word. For many of you, it's a word that you would never say in this church or maybe even outside of this church. It's a word that it's very hard for some of you right now to let this 4-letter word leave your mouth. The word obviously is help. H-E-L-P. Okay, I have a little question for you to prove my point. How many of us would rather be help than ask for help? Okay, so how many of us would rather be the help? All right. How many of us would ask for the help? Okay, I've seen a couple. Okay, this is what I was thinking. This is exactly what I was thinking. About 95% was be the help, and about 5% was ask for help. Okay, so my question then is, why don't we like asking for help? Okay, is it something innate in our culture? Is it who we are? We're trying to be totally independent, like the good like Texas cowboy that doesn't need anything. We could just get on the horse and saddle and like ride off into the sunset with our black coffee and our ribeye steak. You know what I'm saying? I don't need anything from anybody, right? Is that what we look for? I don't need help from anyone. Are we afraid sometimes when we ask for help that it could show our weaknesses? Okay, that when I ask for help, somebody's going to find out I don't have absolutely everything all put together. And maybe asking for help forces me or you to realize you don't have everything we need on our own, right? That the cowboy cartoon we grew to love as a kid is a cartoon. Well, then who asks for help? And I want to phrase it like that. Who do we think, when somebody is needing help or asking for help, who is it? And I'd like to redeem that word help. I want it to be able to leave your mouth in the next 20 or so minutes, okay? Because I believe help is a good thing. I think the people who ask for help are the people who want something better or want something more, okay? They recognize that there's a goal or something they're trying to reach, and they look at all their resources and they said, I can't get there by myself. I'm going to need some help. Okay? That I don't need anything from anybody. I'm going to try to dispel that as kind of a little bit of a myth. Because if you look at every great athlete, every great musician, anybody at the top of their game has help. Anybody watch award shows? I don't, but one of the reasons I don't watch them is because of those long acceptance award speeches. You know what they do? Thank you to my stage manager, my mom. Hey, Mom. Thank you to everybody that's been a part of this project. Thank you for all the help, right? I'll take you another one. This Sunday, a lot of people are about to go play football. There's a fellow by the name of Patrick Mahomes. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? So like everybody that's in a quarterback at the NFL league, they're on the top of their game. And then there are some quarterbacks that are better than others that are at the top of their game. Patrick Mahomes happens to kind of be in that upper echelon, okay? Do you know what he has a lot of? He's got a lot of help, okay? He's got a personal trainer, somebody that says, Patrick, I know you've been doing push-ups since you could like walk, but if you could just tilt your arms a little bit this way and do push-ups, you throw that football a little bit better, okay? And Patrick says, personal trainer, thanks for the help. Okay, he also has a private chef, which means there's somebody that's cooking Patrick Mahomes' chicken and rice and veggies just so that they can get the right fat to carb to protein ratio. And they say, Patrick, if you would just eat 10 grains of rice more, you could throw that football just a little bit better. And Patrick goes, thanks for the help. All right, another one, he's got a coach, a head coach, and this coach is like a bigger guy from the Midwest. His head coach, he has like a walrus mustache. He doesn't look like, you know what I'm saying, he doesn't look like he's going to be out on the field anytime soon. And he's saying, boys, if you just listen to me a little bit clearer, my coach Andy Reid, you do a lot better throwing that football. And Patrick goes, Andy, thanks for the help. Okay? Help is a good thing this morning. If Patrick had said, I don't need anybody to tell me what to eat, I could just Big Mac it up, okay? I've been doing push-ups since I was a child. I don't need anybody to tell me how to do better push-ups. And Andy Reid, I mean, if this is a mustache contest, you won. But if it's football, I've got you beat, right? No, what he does is something so smart. He takes the help. Help is a good thing this morning. In fact, our gospel lesson, thank you, John, for reading it to us. We have a case study, I believe, between two men. One of them, we'll put him on this side, is incredibly wealthy. And the other one, incredibly poor by the earthly standards. Earthly differences between these two men are staggering. One is covered in a purple cloth. And the expense of that purple cloth is staggering in the ancient world. To get purple dye, you'd have to swim down deep into like a trench and pull out these little snails and crush up the snail shells and make this nice purple. And this guy is decked out in like a very expensive fabric. And then on the other side, you had somebody not clothed in purple cloth, but he's clothed in sores. And sores that are open with wounds that dogs are coming up and licking. One doesn't need anything from anybody. He's what we would call that self-made man. He's got the nice car or donkey or whatever they're driving back in that day. And the other guy, he has nothing. He needs all the help. And these two men, they live in proximity so close to each other. Lazarus lives on the rich man's gate. And then these men die. One's given a proper burial, a great eulogy speaker. He's got all the right songs. And the other one is led through the kingdom by angels. And listeners of the story for the first time would have heard Jesus' words and looked at that rich man and said, what a life well lived. And then the afterlife picks up. And suddenly, like out of a scene from Twilight Zone, they swap seats. And suddenly the rich man wakes up and he's in torment. And he's looking around in this hot area. And way far, far off, you see Father Abraham on the other side of what seems to be the world. And there Father Abraham is with helpless Lazarus. And now the one who needed no help is now helpless. And reality starts to set in. He cries out for mercy. Father Abraham, I'm helpless here. And I need that Lazarus, that he just dip his finger into the water and bring just a drop to me. And something about this parable takes place in our life. This is where the parable becomes reality. We find out that hell is a stationary place. It's a fixed place. How many of us have ever been on like a stationary bike? You can pedal that bike all day. Is it going anywhere? No. When we talk about hell as a fixed place or a stationary place, there's so many people, I think, that arrive to hell and they're confused and worried and scared. And it's a fixed place for the soul. Immovable. And so the rich man, he pleads and he says, Abraham, I still need help. Could you send Lazarus back? And we find out something about heaven too. Heaven is stationary. It's like that bike again. It's not going anywhere. It's a fixed place for the soul. Lazarus can't go down, and the rich man can't go back up. But that there's some eternal aspect to your being, that each one of you is on an eternal trajectory somewhere. Hell and heaven are real places. I believe with real souls. I don't like talking about it sometimes. It makes me uncomfortable, but I don't think I'd be doing my job as a pastor or really as a friend if I did not remind you of that this morning, church, of the reality of heaven and of hell. None of you were created for hell. Each one of you has been uniquely designed for heaven or for an eternal time with our Lord God. Some people have described hell as torment. Another word we use sometimes from Gehenna is it's a trash heap, somewhere outside of the city where things that went off to be dead and dying and maybe kind of set on fire. It's a place I want none of you all to go, and it is stationary. In fact, I've got a little prop that's going to help us remember. Once again, I am the youth pastor, and youth pastors get to have props. It's part of the job, particular. Okay, sounds good. So I've got some baseball eye black. Does anybody know what this is? Okay, cool. It's pretty hard to get off close, and I'm just going to write. That's why I brought two. Okay, cool. Yep, I'm going to have to break in that second one. Okay. It's going to be in some tough ways to read it, but I just want to make sure everybody in the back can read it. It's H-E-L-L. Does everybody see this right here? Okay, cool. Now this is eye black, and it's hard to get off of your face. If you got a little boy that plays baseball, it's hard to get out of clothes, and it's going to be hard to get off this poster board, okay? It's stuck here. Hell, sometimes, when I want you to think of it, it's a stationary place, an immovable place, and it's a place filled with the helpless. Heaven, on the other thing, heaven, it's a completely opposite. Heaven is that one place where everybody has at least one thing in common. The one thing everybody in heaven has in common is this. They realized that they could not live in this world by themselves. Everybody in heaven knew one thing for certain. They needed help. In fact, the name Lazarus, the only guy mentioned between this rich man and Lazarus' name literally translates into God helped me, or God is my helper. Okay? None of this self-made, I'm going to do it on my own, and just kind of white-knuckle life. What I need every day is God help me. It was a prayer I believe Lazarus said again and again when they called his name. Hey, God helped you? What's going on? God helped me is my name, right? Like it becomes part of his identity. Help. And if some of you are sitting in this church and there is if there's a shadow of a doubt of where you're going to end up after this life is over, I've got really good news. While heaven and hell are fixed places, the world we live on now, the life that you've been given, this gift from God, is not set on a fixed plane. There is hope for you this morning. In fact, my goal is to turn hell. All right, get with me now. It's going to get a little cheesy. Okay. Is to take a new color here. It's just the color blue. And I just want to draw a semicircle. Okay? And my goal is that you'd ask for help. Okay? H-E-L-P. Okay? I want everybody in this room to have a Lazarus story where you can rush to God and say, God is my help. I want everybody here to be somebody that God has helped. God's help is different than that private chef or that head coach or that stage manager. God's help is not a genie. God's help is true. The help that the Lord brings us, it's not a one-time thing or a couple-time things like an arrow moving up and down. God's design for you is for you to be helped from now until eternity. And it's something so good that he helps you. It doesn't just make your life a little better, church. It transforms you completely, changes you to who you are, okay? And like all good youth pastors, I'm going to break this down for us in a nice little acrostics. So the H is going to stand for something. I'm going to prop up this help sign so y'all can see it. Okay, cool. All right, everybody see the letter H. Everybody see the letter H for those of us online? H for help will stand for heal. That when God helps you, if you were to cry out to God today, I can make you a promise. If you would allow the Lord to help you today, healing can take place. The wounds from the past that you've been carrying on, the scars that you think would stay on your life forever, can be healed. The pain or the sickness that seems to be a part of your world can be over. A church word we have is sin. That God, as the great physician, the great healer of your life, can remove the sickness of sin. That when you lay down your life to God and say, Lord, I need help. God can make things right with you. You can be justified. You could be in that right relationship. You could be walking with the Spirit, and you can feel healthy again. I want to talk a little bit about that. I like to think of sin as a sickness that kind of plagues the world. And sometimes the sickness, I don't know if anybody's ever had this. There's like, I'm a youth pastor, so sometimes I pick up something that the kids have at school. And there's like, you ever go through like a 48-hour like stomach bug? You guys don't know what I'm talking about. And then it's just like it runs in, and you're like, okay. There are sometimes I think when the Lord heals us from that sickness, it happens quick and immediate, okay? And you see the power of God. And there are some sins I think the Lord heals us of that it's kind of like the allergy season at Arkansas, okay? It's not like a 1 month thing, it's like a 6 month thing. You guys know what I'm talking about? Every flower wants its own little special pollinating week, okay? And it turns into like this 6 month nasal congestion. And there's some things I feel like, church, you hold on to for, it feels like 6 months or 6 years or half of your life. And if you just say, Lord, help me, and you allowed yourself to be helped, I think God can heal you of those long suffering things too. And in that sickness, I think you see the Lord's patience. So we got H there. E will stand for educate, okay? Education is one of the most important things you can do. It is a way that you can honor God with your brain, all right? And this education is a little different from school. How many of us were not the best at school, okay? Well, this education is a little bit better. This has to do with proper instruction. Instruction from the Spirit of God. The same God who is wise enough to craft all of creation together plans to educate you. Educate you in the ways that you need to go. Equip you to do the things that you need to do. Educate you to a point where your desires for sin are no longer there. And God teaches you better ways or better paths. Train you in a way to go where you will not leave the Lord. You won't take a step to the left or to the right. But God intends to educate you. Part of the helping process is not only to heal you, but it's to make sure that you stay healthy. That God doesn't just save you and walk off, but God intends to make sure you stay healthy. So we got the letter E there. You guys like it's moving pretty fast. Okay. And then L. A lot of you are probably thinking it's probably going to be love. I like to say love lived out. Help from the Lord is labor. It's hard work on God's behalf. God work, the Almighty, the God of the mountain and of the valley, desires to work for you if you would allow him to help you. We have a word for it too. It's called grace. Grace is that active agent that God uses to work for us. Grace is what God thinks about you before you followed him. Grace is his attitude of you while you were still God's enemy. Grace is good. Grace is it's that agent that pulls you into the gospel. It pulls you into this family of believers and says, there is good news for you. You have a spot here in this family of God. Grace is that moment when you make that decision at the altar, in your bedroom, or in your car and say, I'm here to follow the Lord. It's by God's grace you can say yes to Christ the first time. It's by this labor that God sent the right people into your life at just the right time. That it wasn't coincident, but it happened on a purpose. That he sent people into your life to encourage you, to comfort you in your morning, and to call you out on your sin. God works on your behalf, church. God urges people all the time to walk into other people's lives and to make sure that they stay there. We finally get to the letter P. And the word I have for the letter P is perfect. God's design for you is to be perfect. In fact, when Jesus, he ends the best sermon of all time, the Sermon on the Mount in the Gospel of Matthew, he says, be holy or perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Perfect has had a weird relationship with our denomination. Sometimes we call it sanctified or to be set apart. When I say that God's calling you to be perfect, I am not saying that you'll never make another mistake. There's a lot of perfect people in this church that can attest to that. Perfect does not mean that you'll never doubt or be scared to share your faith. To be perfect does not mean that you'll have all the answers. When your friends and family are saying, where is God in all of this? Perfect means that you're going to be doing exactly what you were created to do. To love God and love your neighbor. To be Christ-like. To be perfect like Christ was perfect. Being the ultimate person here. The perfect person. It doesn't mean that you'll go through this life without any bumps or bruises or hiccups. But what it means is you're going to be doing what you were created to do. I like to use this example here. I'm not going to put it on my face. I've got some eye black here. It's made by Rawlings. And here's the cap. It was almost imperfect. Now it's got a cap on. This little eye black is perfect. If I took it down to a baseball field down here and I said, hey boys, I got some eye black, you guys need it before the game? They'd say, yeah man, it's Rawlings, this is perfect. And they put it on. You know how I know it's perfect? Because it's doing what it's created to do. And in your life, I want to give you hope. A call to Christian perfection is this. It's to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And holiness means then help. Holiness means that we're solely dependent upon God's will and God's way for our life. Because when we allow the one who made us to help us, we start to trust him more. It doesn't mean that his way or his plans always make sense to us. What it means is that we follow those plans and we allow him to help us. And here comes the great part, church, the part that I pray for as a pastor, but just for a Christian that wants to see the world flipped upside down. Because we received help, we have the opportunity to become help to others. And I want to talk about the privilege that we have of bearing the name Christ. It's as if each one of us has been given that purple robe. Because the cost of this robe, the robe that we get to wear as being members of God's family, the cost of that is incredible. The Apostle Peter would look at the robes that we wear this morning and he'd say, you all are a royal priesthood. That your nation is set apart from all other nations, this nation of God. You all are a people that belong to God now. And so as sons and daughters of majesty, of royalty this morning, we have the opportunity to help the world. Not because of who we are. There's nothing I can do on my own that's going to help anybody. but because of who Christ is. And it is Christ who has helped me and has allowed me to become help to others. We're going to run it back. So because I have been healed, I have the opportunity to help heal others. I have a question for you as you guys are kind of sitting, listen to my monotone voice. Where in your world or workplace or school do you find the greatest need of healing? Who in your circle is sick and in need of a doctor? And if you've been healed and you have the opportunity to help others, point them to your Dr. Christ. Don't be afraid to share with them the story about how God has healed you. Don't be afraid to not spare any detail about the ways that Christ called you and pulled you into himself, because there's something beautiful about a good Christian testimony. A time in which we say, no, God worked in my life here. He healed me. Testimonies don't have to just be on Sundays or on Wednesday nights. Testimonies are a product of a healed people, a helped people, and an authentic people. Because the Spirit of God has designed us to be educated under him, we have the opportunity to help educate others, to help teach others this way of life. So who in your circle knows the least about Scripture? Think about all the little ones in your life who have not prayed to God alone for the first time. How would you want them to pray? You have the opportunity to teach them. If the Bible vanished from your home or from your children's home, how long would it take them to notice? The beautiful part of Scripture, it shapes us as we read it together. That you all are going to see parts of this passage that I won't see because of the way that the Spirit is working in your life. And the beautiful part about education is that you trust on the Spirit as the ultimate teacher for how you're going to live in this world. Here comes the fun part. L is still labor. We have a mission here on Earth Church. It's a commission, really. It means that we are here to have a hand in what God is doing in this life, Sherwood, North Little Rock, Cabot, Austin Ward, Little Rock. Anywhere we find the people of God in this congregation, you have work to do. There was a great Nazarene thinker. I think he served in NLR First at one point. His name was Mark Bain. He is one of the chairs for the evangelism outreach arm of our denomination. And he says the church of God has a mission. But a more accurate statement is this: the mission of God has a church. And that's how I want to live. I want this to be a meeting place that we could send out and go do good work. And here's why. Because somebody worked on our behalf. There was somebody God sent in your path that got you here. And work doesn't have to be a grand juncture. I'm not asking anybody to go out this week and build a cathedral unless the Lord's asking them to do. But what's one thing God is telling you to do this week? What's one thing you need to be doing right now to get your faith from your brain to your hands and to your feet? And go do those things. Maybe God is calling you to participate in some work, to be a part of somebody's God story. And then we got this final one right here. We got perfect, letter P, okay? And this one is a little bit different because I think it's God who does all the sanctifying through us. But I think part of that mission is to make sure that people not of this church, but around the world, knows that this God we serve is holy and he's set apart. And part of holiness, to say yes to God, it's saying no to so much. It's recognizing that there are parts of this world that they're going to offer themselves to us and to our use that are not built to help us, that they're designed to hurt us. And so to perfect this word a little bit, it's not to engage in any kind of darkness that we see in this world. The kind of systems or the choices that we make either at work or in our homes that's going to remove us closer and or further and further from our God. But we want to do those things that move us closer and closer. Jesus put it like this in Matthew 5. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives life to everyone in the house. And in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they can see the good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. To perfect this world is to recognize that because God is set apart when we follow him, we have to take his cue. We also too must to set apart the things of our life. Simply put, we received help, and so now we have the privilege of helping others. We receive help so we can help. As the ministry and worship team kind of come up here, I want to end this message here talking really about two options. As I was writing this little sermon, I was thinking, what's sitting on y'all's mind? There's some of you, and I hope it's not many, but if it is, I want to know there's a spot for you this morning who are not getting this little blue semicircle down. And it feels like you may have been just trying to do your own thing, serving your own self, saying, I don't need anything from anybody, okay? And you're realizing you're coming to the end of the rope. I want to say there's really good news for you today. Cry out to the Lord. You don't have to live and die as that rich man did. You can live and die a Lazarus, okay? There might be some of you sitting here enjoying the help you've received from the Spirit. You could talk about the times that you have been healed, educated, about the times that God has labored and worked on your behalf, and about how God has perfected you and set you apart through and through. And today, I want you to pray for a burning in your soul, that you could start being help to others. That God's mission and your mission would parallel with one another so closely that people looking at you can't tell if you're doing God's work or your work. Because you have been helped, you get to be help to others.